This is a command from a project with 23,000 stars. It installs a certificate authority into your system trust store, not a browser profile. The system one. A trust anchor in that store can sign a convincing certificate for any domain at all, not just the AI endpoints this tool cares about. Anything. So before we talk about whether this project is any good, you should know that installing it is a decision about your whole machine, not about one app. 9 Router is a self-hosted gateway. You point Claude Code or Codex or cursor at your own machine instead of at provider, and it forwards the request onward to whichever of 40-odd providers still has quota left. And I want to be fair because the engineering is real. Translating between OpenAI and Anthropic request shapes is genuinely unglamorous work. Tracking quota per account, falling back down a chain when one is exhausted, compressing the tool output that burns most of your tokens. Good ideas, competently built. Here's the shape of the attention. 23,000 stars in 6 months, but 122 watchers, 747 open issues and 553 open pull requests waiting for review. Stars are cheap. Watchers are people who want to keep track. 0.5% tells you this is broad attention, not deep engagement. Activity is not the problem. 986 commits this year, nearly half of them in the last 12 weeks, across 100 listed contributors. This is a fast-moving project. It is also 6 months old and still on 0.5, which is a version number that promises you nothing. The issue tracker is worth reading before you install this. 17 issues mention being banned, 12 mention accounts being closed, 8 revoked, 7 terminated. I haven't verified any individual case, and mentions aren't proof, but that is not the shape of a tracker for a tool with no consequences. And the single most reacted open issue is antivirus flagging it as a Trojan. Given a root certificate and a rewritten hosts file, that's not a false positive so much as an accurate description. The pull request queue tells the same story from another angle. 203 merged, 553 still open. The oldest open pull request is number 1, the very first contribution anyone made in January, still sitting there. And one issue reports hard-coded timeouts causing 85% error rates, with 5 competing pull requests open against it and none merged. Contribution is outpacing review by a wide margin. Architecturally, it's a Next. JS app with a proxy core. Your CLI talks to it over localhost, it translates the request, picks a provider, and forwards. For any tool that lets you set a base URL, that's the whole story, and it's a clean one. The problem is that several tools it advertises support for don't let you point them anywhere. Copilot, Gemini Code Assist, Code Whisperer, Amazon Q, Cairo. There's no setting. So to intercept those, the project takes a different route, and this is the part to understand before installing anything. It edits your host's file and points the provider's own host names at your local machine. So when Copilot tries to reach its API, the request lands here instead. Combined with the certificate we opened on, the connection looks completely legitimate to the tool making it. Then there are 15 OAuth implementations, 1 per provider, running the provider's own sign-in flows using first-party client configuration, and multi-account round-robin on top, which is how per-account rate limits get spread across however many accounts you can supply. Put those together and the headline claim resolves. Unlimited, free, never hit limits isn't a clever cache. It's impersonating first-party clients, intercepting their traffic, and rotating accounts to spread the limits. That's contrary to the terms of every provider involved, a statement about the terms, not a legal opinion. Now, all of that is the design working as intended. This next part is a bug, and it's the reason I'd want the maintainers to read this before you install anything. The README documents an environment variable called require API KEY. It enforces a bearer token on the API routes, and the docs recommend it for internet-exposed deployments. That's the documented way to lock down a public instance. Nothing reads it. Not one JavaScript file in the repository references that variable. What the runtime actually checks is a different thing with a similar name. A setting stored in the database, toggled from the dashboard, checked across 9 request handlers. The environment variable and the setting are never connected. So harden it the documented way and you get a silent no-op on the one control between the internet and a service holding live credentials for every AI account you own. And it isn't that the project can't bridge environment variables to settings. It does exactly that for another value, 14 lines away. This one just wasn't wired up, which matters more because it binds to every interface by default. To the project's credit, it notices, works out the address peers can actually reach, and prints a warning telling you to bind to localhost instead. That's better than most projects manage. It's still the wrong default for something holding credentials. Now something that genuinely surprised me. 80,000 lines of JavaScript, no TypeScript at all, and 178 test files running to 23,500 lines. That's a serious test suite, and nothing runs it. And they're good tests. Byte exact request forwarding. Refresh once on a 401, retry once, don't loop. Sanitize secrets out of errors. Handle cancellation. Exactly the things that break in a proxy. But there's no test script, and the only two workflows build a Docker image and publish documentation. 23,000 lines of tests, gating nothing. For what it's worth, it installs and runs cleanly. 10 packages, 8 seconds, gateway answering in 4. My first attempt reported a failure, and that was my mistake, not theirs. No terminal, and I'd left off the flag that stops it opening a browser. Worth saying, because a review that blames the project for the reviewer's error is worthless. So where does that leave you? There's a defensible product here, pointed at subscriptions you actually pay for. Get one endpoint with automatic failover and real token savings, and never touch the interception subsystem. Don't put it on a machine you don't fully control, or a work machine. Installing a root certificate is usually a policy violation by itself. And don't expose it to the internet until that flag is wired up. The honest summary is that the gateway, the fallback chain, and the token transform would be a good product on their own merits, using only accounts you legitimately hold. The parts that earned it 23,000 stars are the parts that should give you pause. Those two facts sit in the same repository, and you have to hold both. Last thing. The environment variable bug went to the maintainers before this video, because finding a security gap on a project with 24,000 users and going straight to camera would be the wrong order. If it's fixed by the time you're watching, that's the best possible outcome. Links and every citation are below.